337. I think it's David in Louisiana. Hey, Dave, what's up, man? Good morning. I appreciate you calling in.
What's going on, brother? Roll Tide.
Yeah, roll tide to you, man. I appreciate you joining me on this fine Friday, October 27th. The weather was amazing in Tuscaloosa, and yesterday I played in a charity golf tournament. I hadn't played golf since the end of July. Now, in the springtime, I actually joined the Alabama Amateur Golf Tour. So I'll go all around the state of Alabama and play in some very challenging RTJ courses. It was a good experience, but my season towards the end, I think I played too much golf that I got bad. So yesterday was the first time that I'd swung, my beloved hybrid for the first time since July. And you know what? Took a swing, I still got it. So it always comes down to putting. Did all right and had a good time. It was a charitable cause, so I had a good time with it. With that said, man, welcome to the show, David. Do you have an opening monologue, or you want to dive into these top five?
I just want to throw down a few little stats that
love it.
I've done some research on. It's going to be, we're coming up playing LSU next weekend. And I looked at the rushing defenses and the passing defenses, from both teams. Bama's only gave up 870 total yards on the ground. LSU's given up almost 1,300 yards on the ground. Passing, Bama's gave up 1,580 yards, and LSU's given up almost 2,000 yards in the air. We're ranked number 30th in the nation as far as a passing defense, and LSU's ranked number 83 in the nation as a passing defense. I didn't get the stat on where we would be ranked as a rushing defense. I know that would probably be in the top 10 at least. We'd only given up 870 yards of on the ground. They do have some physical running backs. They do have some really good wide receivers from what I've looked at. You look at both teams' strength of schedules. From what I've seen, I don't know how accurate it is, but Alabama, from what I read, had the number 3 toughest schedule in the nation. I don't know how accurate that is. And LSU had the number 6 team. Yesterday, y'all were talking about Ohio State, Michigan and FSU and all that, and Washington, blah, blah, blah. And you look at their strength of schedules, they're not even close to what Alabama's is. Michigan ranks number 75 in the nation of strength of schedule out of 130, 133 teams that are in the FBS. But LSU is going to be a tough game. It always is. It doesn't matter. It's kind of like playing against Auburn. Auburn can be 0-8 right now and come in and beat us. You just never know the Auburn team you're gonna get. And I believe we're playing at Jordan Hare this year, or in Auburn this year over there. So it's gonna be a tough game later in the end of the year. But Alabama plays. Your first question, I don't remember the other one, but yes, Alabama plays 4 quarters consistently and can move the ball, especially when it comes to third down, 3rd and 2 or 3rd and 5. I can understand maybe a 3rd and 10 or 3rd and 12 is harder to get a first down. But if we can move the ball consistently on 3rd down and keep moving the ball, then you start beating down the other team's defense. You want to keep their defense on the field and keep their offense off the field as much as possible. If the defense can play lights out and contain Jaden Daniels with his feet, because he is a good passing quarterback. He is a pretty good passing quarterback. He does have a pretty ball. I've seen highlights and this and that and the other of the dude play, and he does have a pretty, deep ball at times. But what kills most teams is the run game with him, you know, because he's not going to stay in the pocket long. If the pocket starts breaking down, he's not going to run sideline to sideline. He's going to try to run uphill. Because I've seen several videos of him this year where he should have been carried out on a stretcher, you know, getting slammed, broken in half almost, you know. And he's not scared to run the ball. He's not one that's going to really slide too often. He's going to try to get the first down. He's trying to win for his team. And I pray that Milroe feels the same way next weekend whenever the pocket breaks down. But I believe our offensive line can control their defense better than what most people think. They have lost. They are short on defense. From what I heard, I did watch Brian Kelly's interview yesterday. You know, little coach thing, and he didn't look. Yeah, from what I saw, you could see it in his face and in his eyes that he was kind of nervous. Like, you know, this might not turn out too good for us. You know, he kind of hesitated on answering some questions at times. But, you know, I believe that our offensive line can compete against LSU's defensive line, no problem. Their secondary, to me, is not that good because they have some guys that are injured right now. They got some other guys stepping in for them that are freshmen and stuff like that. Between Isaiah Bond and Burton and, you know, whoever else is on the field can beat out these DBs and safeties and stuff at no problem. And if Milroe can throw the ball without making any mistakes, you know, turnovers and stuff like that, it could be a one-sided game. I don't believe it will be, but it's going to be, you know, I believe Bama can come out, you know, and win, you know, by 10, maybe 7, you know, and hopefully they can do like they did in the second half, you know, just walk away with it and 21 points, 28-point victory, you know, that would be amazing, because if you can beat LSU with that high-powered offense they have, the #1 offense in the country, and you can contain them, these guys in the committee, because it's coming up, they're going to look at that and they're going to say, man, we just got a beast that just woke up. They woke up last week against Tennessee in the second half, and they played 4 quarters consistently against LSU. We might go ahead and just move them up to the #4 spot if some other teams have some problems this weekend. Because if you can go in and beat LSU by 21, 14 points, 28 points, or whatever, they're going to look at that. The committee people are going to look at that, and they're going to say, this is a totally different team from game 1 of the year, of the beginning of the year. This is a dominant football team that has finally grabbed the reins and are leading them horses down to Atlanta for the SEC championship. But I just believe if they play 4 quarters consistently, 60 minutes until that clock hits 0-0-0-0 on it, and they walk off the field with their hands up in the air, raising the #1 finger up, not the middle finger, but you can do that too. I don't care. You can flip off LSU fans. That's the way I feel about them. But they can move way up. They can move way up. They still have a good chance if they play the rest of this year, 4 quarters, 60 minutes consistently.
I think that's a really good point, David, is the fact that all eyes are on this game, and all eyes meaning not only our eyes, the world of college football, the college football fans, but the college football playoff committee, right? Because so the college football playoffs, the rankings will drop officially on October 31st in the evening time. Now, with that said, the following Saturday, which is Alabama LSU, all eyes are on this team, and they want to see how Alabama can manage 4 quarters as they continue to look at playoff resumes. And Alabama doesn't have a lot of style points. They don't have a game that they really put together for 4 quarters. So if Alabama comes out and they're able to dominate an LSU team or beat a LSU team for 4 quarters of a game, I think that is going to bode very well for this Alabama team, not only for a style points, because who really cares about that other than the playoff committee, and the ultimate goal is to get into the playoffs, but from a team psyche perspective, right? And I think you know, Webbs inside the comment box brings up a really good point. Alabama does have some momentum now, but They haven't won this game. They haven't played 4 quarters of football. You have to be able to recharge your batteries and still maintain that high level of focus going into this next week, which is a very pivotal game and really a game that going forward, every game could come down, cost you the season, right? Because you've already lost that game. But here's a chance to continue to improve and continue to tell the naysayers or whoever it is, or just to your team, look, this is a complete team. We can play 4 quarters. We can play 60 minutes of football, and we can beat a good LSU team with a fantastic quarterback and some fantastic wide receivers. I get it. Their defense is banged up, but don't kid yourself. Like this team, like we said earlier, they have the dudes to compete with Alabama. They have the dudes to beat Alabama. They did it last season. I asked Brian Kelly at Media Day this past summer, what did that win do for your program? And he told me this. He said that it told us that we can play with Alabama. We can beat Alabama, and we can tell our recruits that going forward. Back-to-back wins over Alabama that would really continue to catapult LSU and Brian Kelly and his recruiting efforts and everything that he wants to do. Because let's face it, Tennessee and LSU, those teams are improving. Under Josh Heupel is improving Tennessee, and Brian Kelly is improving LSU. Small steps forward. So, like Justin Ebogbe said just recently during his player press conference, they want to play 4 quarters. They don't want anybody to come into their house and take what's theirs. And I think from a psyche standpoint, if Alabama is able to put together that 4 quarters, I think it does so much for them going into that next game against Kentucky. This isn't a trap game, but you can't sleep on LSU by any means. There's still a lot to prove for this Alabama team. David, let's run through these 1 through 5 real quick before I move to my next callers, okay?
Go ahead.
All right, let's cruise through these too because we got people lined up. All right, Bama can win it all if
they play 4 quarters consistently and the defense can contain Jaden Daniels, put a lot of pressure on him, sack him 3-4 times, and turnovers. If he makes a mistake, we have the cornerbacks and stuff like that that can actually intercept. Kool-Aid needs to pay more attention when the ball's in the air at times. He needs to look back, especially when he sees the receiver's hands going up in the air, to look for the ball. Because there were several plays last week against Tennessee where he could have had at least probably 2 interceptions, I saw, if he'd have been trying to look at the ball.
Number 2, the top 3 Bama players as of today are who?
I would have to go with McClellan. Not a big fan of his attitude and his temper, but Burton. And then I would have to go Braswell. Braswell's turned the ball over. Had a couple of turnovers this year where he's knocked the ball out, stuff like that. Or Campbell. Jihad. Yeah.
I think that's a good mix. Okay. Quickly, your thoughts on Bama's run game. You just mentioned Jace. Do you like it? Is it kind of just status quo? What's your take on Bama's run game?
Well, from what I've seen and looked at with LSU's defensive line or defense, Alabama can move the ball on them. I mean, Army had 150-something yards. They didn't do too good in passing, but they had 151, 153 yards of rushing against LSU's defense. And they've had problems. And I believe Alabama's run game is good. The offensive line seems to mesh sometimes when the run game is there, especially whenever they're using the run game more often than they are the passing. You know what I mean? Get consistent. Kind of like when a running back, you can't take a running back and he only gets 10 carries for the first half or the first quarter, and you got another running back come in, whenever they get that 20, 25, 30 carries, or whatever, they start getting in a groove, and kind of like what happened with McClellan, whenever he had that big game against Tennessee, he had more carries, he got in that rhythm. And our run game is good. We do have really good running backs.
Who is Alabama's rising star? I saw people in the comment box continue to talk about Caleb Downs. I think that's absolutely true. I mean, he's almost already a star. But if there's anyone else on this team that could be considered a rising star, who is it, David?
Well, we got a couple of them already that are there. Will Reichard, he's like already past the stars and went to a whole nother galaxy somewhere. And he ain't but like 35 points away from breaking the all-time record,
Yep.
you know, and I just hope it ain't where we just get field goals the rest of the year, like, you know, in some of our games. I like to see him break the record. But rising stars, I'm going to have to go. Milroe has actually rose up a little bit more each and every game. McClellan, of course, Terrion Arnold has really played lights out. You know, he's really done good here. I wish Kool-Aid would step up and do more, especially in the punt game. I believe we will see a whole new punt returner this next game. I heard him say you'll see me real soon.
Yep.
So I'm hoping and praying that way. If you can deflate LSU by a punt return or kickoff return, something like that, you know, we got to deflate them big time because they are a strong offense. And like I've said, if Alabama can play the third quarter and fourth quarter like they did, because I believe whenever they played Tennessee, I'm going to make this real quick. When they played Tennessee and they saw how far they got behind in the first half, I think it woke them up, especially when Miss Terry went down there and about drop kicked a few guys in the locker room probably, and went off on them, and coach went off on them. I believe it woke them up. It said, hey, look, this is your defining moment in college football. Some of y'all are leaving this year. This is your last year. Do you want an SEC championship? Do you want a playoff? Do you want a national championship? You can't play and win anything like that if you keep playing like you do in the first half. You have to play the third and fourth quarter like they did against Tennessee in the first and second quarter. If you don't, and we get 14, 20 points or whatever behind against LSU, it's going to be a bloodbath, and they're going to be like Coach O in the locker room. This is our effing house, you know, blah, 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 blah. But anyways, I'm glad he's gone too. But anyways, Alabama needs to destroy LSU. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I would love to see it happen just like anybody else in the Alabama Nation would. And it's going to be a great game. I believe Alabama can win. I think if we do win, it's going to be a closer game than what a lot of people think, unless we can find weaknesses in their defense, which I believe we will. And our defense is going to have to play top notch, no mistakes whatsoever. Can't let these wide receivers get behind us at all because they will burn us in a heartbeat. But we have the corners, we have everything we need. But with that being said, I know you got 15 million callers. I wish you did have 15 million caller show, you know, views and people on you. But you'll get there one day. I'll be praying for it. But with that being said, God bless each and every one of you. Oh, yeah, and as far as this weekend, I ain't got time to watch football. I've got another thing going on, so I really don't watch nobody unless it's Alabama, really, honestly. You know, I love sports, but nobody else really. I'll just look at CBS or whatever and look at the scores and say, oh, well, Oregon got beat or whatever. But anyways, God bless each and every one of you. God bless this great country, believe it or not. And with that being said, roll tide, everyone. Y'all have a great weekend and be safe.